Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and to nobody's surprise, I collect Gunpla. However, despite me talking about building and reviewing Gundam model kits for years now, I've never shown you guys my full collection. But before we start, I gotta give a big thank you to Snupps, the social media app for collectors. They sponsored this video, and I'm very glad they did because that gave me an excuse to make a video that I probably would have never gotten around to otherwise. With that out of the way, let's just jump right in. So you have almost certainly seen the stack of boxes behind my desk to some degree, even if you haven't seen the whole thing. This is where I put the boxes for almost every single kit that I've built, and even though I've built not that many kits comparatively to some other people I know, I'm still already running out of room. And what you might not know is that some of these boxes aren't empty. I only have a limited amount of space to display my kits, so some of the models that I'm not as big a fan of, like Zaku 1, the Real Grade Build Strike, or Avalanche Exia, or some of my rougher looking older models like the Real Grade Destiny Gundam, went straight into their boxes after I built them because I just didn't have room to display them. Right now I only have around 10 or 15 kits stored away like this, but as my collection grows that number will only get bigger. Stored in the 6 canisters behind the pile of boxes are the first 6 models I ever built. When I built these early models, I cut out the front of the boxes and I stuck them up on the wall without really thinking about how I'd store them later on down the line, so I had to improvise. In the far corner behind my build table I have some of my old childhood Lego sets plus a few random mocks I made, and a NECA Striker Eureka that is missing an arm because NECA build quality and high drops don't mix. To save on space, I do have some of the smaller boxes tucked away behind the pile of larger boxes. I actually can't remember if there's anything else interesting stored behind these boxes. Maybe we should take a look. You know what? Let's not. Underneath the small boxes is a little bit of overspill for my backlog. Really looking forward to putting that guy together. And then in front of that is another stack of boxes, this one for my completed master grade models and also the Roselle Type C because quite frankly I ran out of space. Just like any proper Gunpla builder, I have run out of places to put my kits that I haven't built yet, so I just kind of had them piled up next to my desk. I think you've seen most of these before, but I can't remember if I've shown you guys the Legao or not. Well, either way, I have one, and I'm hoping to build and review it sometime soon. I have a couple more of my models on the bookcase next to my build table. These ones are primarily just kits that were too big to fit anywhere else. I also have my 3 shoebox-sized Master Grade / Re 100 kit boxes up here because I love the box art on all 3 of them, and I wanted to be able to see them as much as possible. Now we've come to where the bulk of my collection is stored, and this is really nothing special, just a very rickety old bookcase on top of my dresser. I'd like to get some proper shelving at some point, but for now this is going to have to do. On the bottom shelf is primarily just whatever I couldn't fit anywhere else. I've got a little bit of Zeta Gundam, a few Zakus, and also a Build Burning Gundam. The middle shelf is dedicated to non-Universal Century high grades, and there's some really great kits in here, one of my personal favorites being the Gundam Arios. Not only is this kit really cool looking, it's also the best transforming Gundam I've ever built. The flight mode is very solid, and it most importantly doesn't look like a mobile suit lying on its face. Above the alternate universe suits are the Universal Century high grades and real grades. Of course, I've got my real grade Unicorn and my high grade RX-78 Revive as what would normally be the centerpieces, although I've kind of got them off to the side here so I can make way for some of my personal favorite kits like the Blue Destiny Unit 1 and the GM Ground Type. In the back row I got my Silver Bullet, which is another really good underrated kit, my GM3 and my Rebawu. We're reaching the top of the bookcase now, and this is one of probably several miscellaneous shelves that you're going to see. There's really no theme at all to this. I got a couple of SD kits, a Papa Guy, and a couple of Buso Shinkis, and I'm going to use this video as an excuse to talk about these because these things are cool. So if you're familiar with those sort of Mecha Girl kits that Kotobukiya has been doing a lot of lately, the Frame Arms Girls, the Megami Device kits, these are like the prototype to all of those. They're not model kits, they're fully constructed action figures, but this was a line of figures that was made about 10 or so years ago that consisted of female action figures that were, for the time, very, very posable with modular armor. If you look at the kit's wings here, you can see that there's holes in them, and there's pegs on her shoulders. There's pegs on her legs. If you look at the other girl, you can see there's a lot of attachment points all over her armor. And the general gimmick of the line was that they were kind of like Bionicles, where you could just take the parts off them, put them on other kits, swap them around, and make your own combinations. They were a really cool line of figures, and it was kind of a bummer to see them go, but then after the line died out, Kotobukiya bought the license. And then they actually showed off a resin prototype at Wonderfest of a model kit of this very character. and then they never did anything with it ever again. Behind the bookcase is one of a couple Transformers shelves you're gonna see, and yeah, I love Transformers. I've always been a big mecha guy, and Transformers was the series that got me into giant robots and cool looking robot stuff. If I had to pick a few favorites off the shelf, I would say that one of them would definitely have to be Transformers Prime Revealer's Wheeljack. Below the Transformers shelf, we have some miscellaneous tokusatsu, as well as just, yeah, in case you haven't noticed, I don't really organize my collection very well at all. But hey, that's what Snupps is for. My favorite Kamen Rider series is Kamen Rider Agito, so naturally the two SH figure arts from Kamen Rider that I still have out on display are the two main riders from that show. The second figure art for Agito is probably my favorite figure I've ever laid my hands on. Seriously, this thing ended up hitting clearance bins, which is part of why I was able to pick one up for so cheap. This is a really underrated figure. I love the way they did his armor. It has this awesome black matte finish on it. The gold looks great, and the box looks so good I have it displayed with the figure. Within Kamen Rider Agito, my favorite rider from the show was G3. What was so cool about him was that his sort of Kamen Rider armor was not like magical like everyone else's was. He was literally just a police officer in like government built high-tech body armor basically. So he'd basically get completely wrecked in every battle he went into for the first part of the show. And yeah, there was a time in my life where I liked SAO, and I keep my Figma Austin up here as a reminder of those dark days. This is the Ore icon from Kamen Rider Ghost. This is the little transformation trinket he'd use to turn into a Kamen Rider. I never got any of the big roleplay weapons or belts or anything like that for Kamen Rider because they were always so expensive to ship from Japan. But this thing was like 80 cents on HOJ, so I just threw it in a Gundam order. It's really satisfying to just mash the button on the side and watch the different faces spin around. And now that I think about it, it's kind of just a one-button fidget cube. So below that shelf, sitting directly on the dresser itself, are my Master Grades. Now right now my Master Grade collection isn't very big. I've only got a few of these guys, and I do have my Re-100s displayed with them because that's kind of what you're supposed to do with them. You guys have seen all these kits before. I've built them, I've reviewed them for you, so I'm not going to dwell too long on this shelf. However, I will remind you once again that the Build Strike is the best thing ever. Next to my bookcase there is a mystery mantle that just kind of juts out into the room. There's no fireplace or anything below it, it's just kind of there. One of the quirks of being in an old farmhouse, I guess. I have my Iron-Blooded Orphans models displayed on this mantle because I really don't think they aesthetically mesh with anything else in my collection. And with IBO being one of my favorite Gundam series, I thought it was appropriate to give it a little special treatment. Below the IBO shelf is my light box. This is where I record all my reviews, and this is a very recent addition to my room. I used to have all my recording equipment in another part of the house, but the room I had it in was very empty and very echoey, and it made the audio sound really, really bad. So I moved everything back into my room, and now I do pretty much all my recording in here. The third bookcase in my room contains the last two parts of my collection. Now most of the stuff on here is just random claptrap, but I do have a couple of shelves of more giant robots. The top shelf is dedicated to Transformers. Now the previous shelf was kind of just storage for some of my other ones, but this shelf right here is for my personal favorites. There's a lot of really good figures on this shelf. One of my personal favorites being Generations Thundercracker. This is the Generations Seeker mold, and it's a figure that's been pretty much used to death. But as overused as this mold is, it's a really good looking figure. And the blue and red of Thundercracker makes it look amazing. Also, I have to show you this guy's jet mode. Look at that. This might be my favorite vehicle mode out of any Transformer. Just look at this thing. Look at the colors. You know, now that I think about it, I should probably get the Masterpiece. Let's see, anything else cool on this shelf? Oh yes! Black Warpath. Black Warpath does have a name. I think he's called like Treadshot or something like that. He was part of this Transformers Collectors Club thing where it was like a magazine subscription, but they also had these exclusive figures that they'd ship with the magazine. It was kind of overpriced if we're being honest, but I think it was worth it because I would have never gotten my hands on this figure otherwise. I've talked already about a few Transformers that are personal favorites of mine, but I think this one is my actual favorite of all time. Some more great figures on the left side of the shelf. Nitro Bumblebee, which is from the era of Transformers right around Dark of the Moon. Actually, this is from Dark of the Moon, when there was just maximum Bumblebee saturation. Hasbro was making Bumblebee figures at every scale, at every size class, and they were the only things you could find, and everyone was tired of seeing Bumblebee. But this one, at least to me, is actually pretty good. It's a solid looking representation of Bumblebee, and it's even got these cool Mad Max thrusters on the back of the car mode. So Generations Hoist. Hoist is one of those Transformers characters that I've always really liked, even though he does basically nothing. He's the Autobot tow truck, and that's pretty much his personality. I like his color scheme, I like his vehicle mode, and I just like his design overall. He's a fun-looking guy. And I can't talk about Transformers without mentioning Energon Sharkticon. Energon Sharkticon is a very special figure to me because this is the first Transformer I ever bought. Now, he's definitely seen better days. Both his elbows are broken, his hips are very loose, but I keep him around because, again, this was the first Transformer I ever got, and if I didn't get into Transformers, I probably would have never even heard about Gundam. Finally, on top of the bookcase, we have more boxes, mostly figure boxes, some more of my SH figure arts that I don't have on display, and these things. I actually reviewed Curios years and years and years ago. My thoughts on it were not very positive at the time, and still to this day, these are the worst two action figures I've ever laid my hands on. Even as display pieces, they are just awful. They don't hold together, the joints are either too loose or too tight. The only positive thing I can say about them is I only paid around 200 yen a piece for them. And then I have the Full Armor Unicorns box displayed above that, mostly just for space reasons, because it's a pretty big box. So I was putting together this video, and I realized that I actually didn't talk about one of my favorite shelves. The Super Robot shelf. Now the right side of the shelf isn't anything too interesting, it's just the kind of crappy Bandai of America Megazord figures. I really do like Gokaiyo as a design, but I couldn't afford the actual Japanese figure, so I just got this thing instead. It's a passable substitute, I guess. On the left is my own combination of Beast Swords from Wild Forest, because I love the way the mecha in this series look. They're very, very good toys too. They're very rugged, they're very solid feeling, they're die-cast metal. And I bought a bunch of them individually on eBay and made a whole Megazord out of them. But the figures here in the middle, these are the ones I want to talk about because these are probably the two coolest things I've ever found at a convention. This dragon right here and the mecha beside it are from a show called Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. It was basically Power Rangers but worse. They took the Ultraman series Gridman and spliced in a bunch of American actor footage, you know, usual drill for an American Toku series. The toy line though, the toy line was pulled straight from the Japanese version. These are basically the Japanese Ultraman Gridman figures, but without the electronics. So they're not perfect, but they're still pretty cool. I love the dragon, it's super chunky, it's very cool, it transforms into a jet, and then it combines with Gridman himself. Right now I have Gridman inside of all this armor here. You can take all of this armor off as well, and that turns into its own robot, and then you can take that robot and break it down to a drill truck, a jet, and a tank. It's a really fun set of figures, and I love the stylistic design of these too. The shoulders on this guy especially remind me of Gao Gaigar. These guys are real hidden gems. So now that you've seen my collection, I'm going to tell you how Snupps factors into all this. Snupps is a mobile app designed for collectors that allows you to organize and share your collection. So here we are on my Snupps profile. You can go ahead and follow me at the link in the description. And as you can see, I've already added some of my models. I have them sorted onto 3 different shelves. One 1/44th scale, one 100 scale, and my backlog. The shelf system makes it really easy to organize your collection, and adding new items in is very easy as well. In fact, I'm going to show you right now. So while I've already added and organized most of my Gunpla collection, I haven't included the kits that I don't have on display yet. So here's the Real Grey Build Strike. It's a pretty good kit, but unfortunately I just don't have space to display it. To add it to my Snupps collection, all I have to do is press the plus, capture item, take a photograph of the model, give it a title, and then if I want to, I can add some more details and add in a few more photos. Once I'm satisfied with the item description, I can hit Shelves, New Shelf, and I'm going to name this one In Storage. Then I can just hit Done, and a new shelf has been created. Hit Done again, hit Done again, and there we go. I'm going to go ahead and add a few more kits to this shelf. Good enough. Organizing your collection with Snupps is fast and simple, but that's not all you can do. Snupps also has a very cool group function. You can use groups to interact with other like-minded collectors, and of course, with this being Channel 2S, I have made the Channel 2S group all about Gundam anime and Gundam models. And you know what? I'm going to share my backlog to it right now. there's going to be a link to my group down in the description. Go check it out. Feel free to share your collection. If you built any cool custom models, share them there too. You can even discuss topics related to Gundam and Gunpla. It's just a really great way to interact with you guys. And Snupps is for collectors of everything, so whether you collect Pokemon cards, commemorative pins, sneakers, dolls, it really is worth giving Snupps a try. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and thank you again to Snupps for helping make this video possible. They made a pretty awesome app, and you should definitely go down to the links in the description and check them out. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.